Hello, welcome to the ALB In-house Counsel Roundtable, and today we're talking about progressing your career in-house. Now, I'll start this discussion with the observation that a lot of in-house lawyers seem to have commenced their careers in private practice and spent a few years there before going in-house. Now, I wanted to get your views on this transition. Is this something that you'd recommend for other in-house lawyers?
I think, except for the very large in-house teams, on the whole, in-house teams don't have the capacity to train junior lawyers to anywhere near the standard that the big firms do. And I think for that reason, starting off in a law firm is quite important unless you're going to go into one of those big teams that do have the resources and capacity and sort of general wisdom within the team that would allow that to happen.
And the commitment and the appetite, I think, is an important element of that. I've got quite a nice mix in my team at the moment between senior lawyers, a couple of junior lawyers, one of whom has only ever been in-house, another that went in-house, I think, quite junior. I'd always thought that you needed to be in practice for probably 4 or 5 years in order to lay down a coal seam of broad knowledge that you can then mine as you then work in different industry groups. And I still think, as a general observation, you need to have a reasonable amount of private practice experience, partly the training, but also the rigour of the basic skills, writing, communicating, understanding what the brief is, learning that the client may not have asked you the right question, because that's actually fundamentally a lot of what we do as well. But there's, I think we get to it later, a nice fluidity now between the in-house and the firms, which I actually think is a really positive progression, if you like. I think it comes from the maturity of in-house being seen as a sensible step in your career now, rather than something that those who couldn't cut it in firms do.
And that figure 4 to 5 years in private practice before you make the move seems to come up a lot. Have the rest of the panel got any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm probably a very bad example because I was in private practice for 22, 23 years before making the transformation. But reflecting back on my own experience when I was in private practice, I think the 4 to 5 year mark, you've been a senior associate for a while, you've had responsibilities of diversity of experience, and you're getting more challenging assignments. I think that's probably about the right time. Yep, that sounds right for me.
I think it's also the confidence that you acquire with that level of experience as well. I think less than 4 or 5 years, and that's certainly the pedigree that we look for in the lawyers that we employ. I think if you're anything less than 4 or 5 years, you haven't quite got the level of confidence that you need to interact with your clients, because you haven't acquired the kinds of core skills that Kim was talking about.
And anything to add?
In-house, you're looking for somebody with the skills they learn in private practice, but they need to learn how to apply that commercially. They need to become solutions oriented beyond just the legal question, looking for the overall answer to the questions put to them, and to have regard to the company's overall strategic approach. And that doesn't come immediately. So when I'm recruiting, certainly I'll be looking at that private practice experience. But there's a lot more.
I think there's also one refinement. I perhaps should continue to challenge myself and others in the fact that we're putting so many law graduates through now. I don't think we can assume that the in-house lawyer is always exactly as we are doing transactional work or advice work. I think those basic legal skills can be very useful in other tasks that aren't strictly in-house legal tasks. So I'm getting a number of CVs coming through from people who are freshly qualified, who want a foot in the door, but they don't necessarily ever want to be a GC. They're interested in just doing some company secretarial. They'll probably move on to 3 or 4 other careers on the way through. I think we also shouldn't be too close-minded about the pool of talent that's also coming through as pure, just smart, clever graduates. I wouldn't call them lawyers if they haven't had that basic grounding. But there is a pool of talent that I think some of the teams, we do have some routine work that we could probably make better use of some of those staffers, almost in a paralegal capacity.